Hello everyone and welcome to DIY Ideas. Today we're going to use an old sweater to make a new sweater vest. So this is going to be an upcycling project. So today this is what we're going to need. So as always we have some fabric scissors, measuring tape, and some pins. Here I also have a hand gauge to make things easier, as well as a ruler. I also have some fabric chalk so that we can mark our fabric and wash it off later. So of course I have some thread in the matching color to my sweater that I'm going to work on, and of course then we need the sweater that we want to upcycle. So you can use a knitted sweater or pretty much anything else that you would like to have a vest of. So the first thing is to get rid of the sleeves, since a vest doesn't have sleeves. So that's going to be our first step, and then the V section at the neckline. So that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to start with the sleeves here, or with the removal of them, then here the shoulder section, and then we're going to do the V cut here. We're going to make sure that it's not too big, the cut, and then optionally you can make it a little bit narrower, but I like the width as it is, so I'm going to keep it this way. So you can do this step when you cut off sleeves. That's the easiest way to do it. So as I said, I'm going to keep my width, but of course you can change this. That's completely up to you. So I'm gonna do this pretty generously, because with knitted sweaters we need always a little bit more fabric than with other fabrics, because we don't want it to fray or do anything weird. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of the fabric here. So then we're gonna have some room for the stitches as well. So we're gonna take a look at where the stitch already is, so where the sleeve connects to the main part of the sweater, and then we're gonna do about 2 to 3 centimeters more there. Then I'm gonna do a zigzag stitch at the end here, just to make sure that everything stays in place and doesn't fray later when I work with it. So yeah, then we're gonna fold it inwards like this, and then we're gonna do a stitch there, and then we're gonna have a really nice section for the vest. Then when it comes to the shoulders here, make sure to leave a little bit more of the fabric here so that we can work with that as well, depending on how wide you want it, of course. So I'm going to cut around here and fold it inwards later. So of course it's important that we have a straight line. So we need to make sure that the stitches in the front and the back are aligned so that it's not looking different on the back or the front. We want it to be symmetrical. So in order to do that, I'm gonna mark with some pins on both sides, and here you can see the stitch already, so where the sleeve connects to the main part, and that's where I'm gonna put a pin just to mark. And then I'm also gonna just measure 5 centimeters from the edge, just to keep it in the same shape as the original line. And then we can later, when we get to the cutting, we can use this line as our direction. So now that we did this, you can see what it looks like, and for now it's weird, but it's going to look a lot better really soon. So I did a zigzag stitch, as I said, at the end. You can also do a seaming stitch to keep the ends from fraying. So I also pulled a little bit on the fabric just to have a little bit more stretch there, but that's optional. So yeah, don't pull on it too much if you decide to do it that way, just a tiny bit. So now we can start with pinning everything. So you can see on the other side how I prepped it, and I'm gonna try this on, of course, see if I like the width here of the shoulder region, and then I can adjust and later have the exact same result that I planned for. So here you can choose it to be wider or narrower. This is completely up to you. but we're going to use the section of the sleeve and kind of fold it inwards to get a little bit more of the width since I do want it wide. And then we're going to fold it inwards like this and stitch it up so that it stays that way as well and has a neat seam on it. So this is completely up to you. You can do it narrower or wider. It doesn't change the method. And what I want to do is have kind of an invisible stitch. So when I say stitch, I mean the section where the sleeve kind of connected with the main part of the sweater. So I want to follow that line as well. You can of course do an extra one, but I think it's going to look really neat if we follow that line. Also make sure that when you do the stitch, you also catch the fabric that you folded inwards, because if you don't, it might look a little bit weird when you wear it later. So we need to take care that everything is aligned and exactly where it should be when we get to the stitching. Of course, you can do a band on here or some other sleeves if you'd like. You can also use a contrasting color of thread if you like that. So those are just some options that I wanted to mention, how you can customize it and make it really your own. This end here, we're gonna basically measure again, and then we're gonna mark and fold. So here is the finished section, so you can see that the stitch is pretty much invisible because it follows the exact same line that was already on the sweater. So I'm really satisfied with the way it looks, and yeah, you can just see that there is no yarn, no thread visible, and that's exactly what we want. So that's what it looks like from the outside. And then you remember I mentioned that you do need to catch kind of the fabric that folds inwards. So when I show you the inside, you can really see that I did a zigzag stitch here just so it stays inside and it's not visible later. This section here is the next one we're gonna do, so the V-cut. And for that, I tried this piece on and then I decided how deep I want it to be. So this is what my pin here represents. That's how I marked how deep I want the V-cut to be. You can of course do more or less, you can do it round, so that's completely up to you, but I wanted to show you a V-cut today. So I chose a pretty deep cut. If you can notice, that's because in most cases when you wear sweater vests, you usually have a shirt underneath or a t-shirt at least or something. So in that case, I do want it just to accentuate my body a little bit more. Of course, you can do it a little bit less. So next we're gonna mark the lines. So we want to find the middle of the V, which means that we need the exact middle of the entire piece. And I'm going to do that by measuring the end of my sleeve that I cut off from the one side to the other, see where the width is, and then divide in half and mark there. So I have 56 centimeters on here, which means I'm going to go around 28. And when I mark that, you can already see my pin is exactly there. So that's what we're going to do now. So as I said, I'm going to keep the shoulder region a little bit wider. And for that, I know that I can't use this top section at all, so I'm going to have to get rid of that when I do my V cut on here. So just so you know, this section is basically going to go away. So I'm measuring the width from the end of that till the other end. Okay, so now it's important that we have straight lines on here, and then we can cut the fabric. So also make sure to remember 2 or 3 centimeters extra for the stitches. So I'm gonna mark that, mark the middle, and then we can cut this out. Of course, I'm gonna use my ruler here. I have a wooden one, and I'm just gonna mark where my lines are gonna go, just so it's easier for me when I take the scissors. So now that we have both lines, we have our scissors on here, so we're gonna use those, and I'm just gonna basically cut as straight as I can, and then as far as the back goes here, I'm just gonna follow the line that I already have so that I can keep this top section for another project, and so that I can still have a nice shape on here. So before I do the open edges here, I just wanted to show you what we have. So we're going to do a zigzag stitch again so that nothing frays, and then you can see here on the bottom that we have still a couple of centimeters to go, and we're going to fold that inwards from up. So we need a little cut there so that we can fold it inwards. So until the pin, I need to cut a straight line on there, and then we can fold everything inwards. And we're also going to do a zigzag stitch there to make sure that everything is fray proof. So now that we did this, you can notice the zigzag stitch. We're going to fold it inwards like this, and you can see here where my mark used to be. So that's going to be the width, and then what we're going to do is just fold both sides. Of course, you see I have some pins ready just to make sure everything stays in place before we get to the stitching again. And yeah, we're also going to fold the back side as well, but pins are going to help with that. So when I pin everything, I'm going to stitch it up, and then I'll show you what's coming next. So if you're satisfied with the shape, then you should measure the length of your shoulder regions, or the width if you want. So I have here 11 centimeters on the one side, if I'm seeing correctly, and then on the other side, let's see, yeah, also 11. That's good. That means we did a good job and we can continue. You can also measure these lines here just to make sure that those are equal as well, and then we can get to the stitching. You see all the pins are in place, so our sewing machine is next. So the first thing I'm going to do is a regular straight stitch as close to the edge as possible. You can of course do it wider if you'd like to, that depends on the style that you want to get. In the end, just make sure that there's not too much fabric on the inside still on the wrong side of the stitch or leftover fabric, so we're going to get rid of that later if needed. And yeah, I'm going to do maybe 2 or even 3 stitches so that I know that everything's going to stay in place. So you can see the finished V now, and this is what it looks like. Of course, you could have done it closer to the edge or even further away. That's completely up to you, as long as you catch the inside fabric. And you can see here I did a couple of stitches, so that's why they're a little bit more pronounced, which is the effect that we wanted, and it also serves as safety against ripping when you put it on and take it off. So this section you can fold like this, one over the other, and then do one extra stitch if there's anything weird going on there, because that can sometimes happen. I think in this case it looks nice still, but you can fix it that way, and it's a really easy fix if something doesn't look right in that section because of the deeper cut that we did. Okay, so now the next step, and it's also optional if you need it, we can shorten the bottom. So before you change anything, I highly recommend trying the piece on and then deciding if you need it shorter and how much shorter. So you see here I folded the fabric inwards. You can also shorten it first and then fold it inwards. That's completely up to you. And then we can do a straight stitch there, as well as seam the edges when we are finished. So I'm first going to do the stitch and then I'm going to get rid of the fabric. Of course, you could have done the sides here as well, narrower, but as I said, I want to keep it a little bit more casual, so it's not going to be as tight as you may want to do it. But it's the same thing again. So as I said, I'm going to shorten it just a little bit. You can see on the inside what I folded, and that's the length that I'm getting rid of. You can of course keep it in its original length if you'd like. So again, do a stitch there, maybe a couple even, just to make sure nothing rips. So here is the completely done sweater vest, and I hope you guys like the way this looks. So you see here on the bottom, I decided to do 2 stitches, and I think I did them double. So basically went over them twice. And yeah, that's the style I wanted. Of course, there's a lot of room there for different ideas. The inside is also neat. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this project, and if you did, feel free to shoot a thumbs up. You can also subscribe if you'd like to see more, and make sure to click on the notification bell to stay notified. Have a great day. Bye!